If your guests walk through your living room and don't say a single word about it, that's not because they're being polite. It's because there's nothing in that room for them to actually notice. Today, I want to show you the crochet pieces that stop people mid-sentence. Not the basic blanket everyone already owns, not the pillow cover you grabbed off a shelf because it was on sale. I mean the kind of home decor that makes a guest pause, look around, and ask, "Wait, where did you get that?" By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which pieces to make first, and more importantly, why most handmade decor gets ignored even when it took hours to finish. Let's talk about why that happens. Most homes look the same. Not because people don't care, but because they're all shopping from the same 5 stores, following the same design accounts, and buying the same neutral throw pillows that show up in every apartment on the internet. Your eyes just slide right past it. There's no story there, no texture, no reason to stop and look twice. And here's the part that stings a little. A lot of crochet makers fall into the same trap. They make a granny square blanket in the same beige, white, and dusty pink that every other maker on social media is using right now. It's pretty, it's fine, but it blends in just as much as the store-bought version does. If you want guests to actually notice your work, you have to think differently about color, texture, and where you place things. That's what we're getting into now. Let's start with the piece that gets noticed the most, and it's not what you'd expect. It's not a blanket. It's a plant hanger. A simple crochet plant hanger, especially one made with a thicker cotton cord and a few wooden or clay beads worked into the pattern, changes the entire feel of a room the second it's hung near a window. Sunlight hits the texture, the plant fills in the gaps, and suddenly you've got a spot in your home that looks like it belongs in a magazine. The trick is picking a plant with long, trailing leaves, like a pothos or a string of hearts, so the greenery and the crochet work together instead of the hanger just sitting there empty looking. Next is something people underestimate completely, and that's a textured throw blanket using bobble stitch or popcorn stitch instead of a flat single crochet. Here's why this matters. A flat, smooth blanket photographs fine, but it doesn't feel like anything special when someone touches it. The second a guest runs their hand over a bumpy, raised stitch pattern, their brain registers it as something different, something made with care. Pair that texture with a color that isn't neutral. Think a deep rust orange, a forest green, or a burnt mustard yellow. Those colors read as warm and rich instead of safe and forgettable. Drape it over the arm of a couch, not folded flat, but tossed like it was just used and loved. That messy drape actually makes it look lived in and loved, not staged. Now, let's talk about walls, because most people completely ignore this space when it comes to crochet. A crochet wall hanging, especially one shaped like a small tapestry with fringe at the bottom, does something a framed print can never do. It adds depth. It casts little shadows depending on the light. If you make one with a mandala pattern or even simple geometric rows in 2 or 3 colors that actually contrast instead of blend, it becomes the first thing people see when they walk into a room. Hang it above a couch or behind a reading chair, somewhere it has space to breathe instead of getting crowded by other decor. Lampshades are another piece almost nobody thinks to crochet, but they should. A crochet cover slipped over a plain lampshade, made with an open, lacy stitch, does something magical once the light turns on. It throws these soft little shadow patterns across the wall and ceiling. Guests notice light before almost anything else in a room, so when the light itself looks different, it grabs attention without you saying a single word about it. Let's go smaller for a second. Coasters. I know that sounds boring, but stay with me. A set of coasters made with a bold color block pattern, maybe 2 contrasting colors split right down the middle, sitting on a coffee table becomes a conversation piece the moment someone sets their drink down. It's such a small detail, but small details are exactly what guests remember because they weren't expecting to notice them at all. Storage baskets are the same idea, but bigger. A chunky crochet basket made with a heavier weight yarn or even t-shirt yarn, holding blankets or magazines by the couch, does double duty. It's functional, but it also adds this soft, textured shape to the room that a plastic bin or a store-bought basket just can't match. Go for a basket shape with visible texture on the outside, like a shell stitch or a ribbed pattern, so it doesn't just look like a bucket. A table runner is another piece that quietly does a lot of work. If you're using a solid color tablecloth or a bare wooden table, a crochet runner with an open lace pattern running down the center adds this layer of detail that makes the whole table feel intentional instead of thrown together. Add a small vase of dried flowers on top, and that spot becomes the spot guests naturally gather around. Now, here's the piece that ties everything together, and it's the one that gets the most reaction out of anyone who's ever mentioned this to me: a crochet rug in the entryway. Think about it. It's the very first thing a guest steps on when they walk into your home. Before they even take their shoes off, before they say hello, their eyes go straight down to the floor. A round or oval crochet rug made with thick rope or t-shirt yarn in a color that pops against your floor sets the tone for the entire visit before you've said a single word. Let me tell you about someone who actually did this. A woman I know redid her apartment using exactly 4 of these pieces: a textured throw blanket in a deep green, a crochet plant hanger by her window, coasters on the coffee table, and a round rug at her front door. That's it. 4 pieces. Not a full home makeover, not thousands of dollars spent, just 4 intentional handmade items placed exactly where the eye naturally lands. The first time she had friends over after finishing them, 3 separate people asked if she made everything herself, and one friend asked to take a picture of the wall hanger to show her own mom. That's the moment I want you to remember. It wasn't about filling every corner of the house with crochet. It was about picking a few pieces in colors that actually stand out and putting them exactly where people already look. So here's what I want you to take from all of this. You don't need to crochet 50 things to make your home feel different. You need 2 or 3 pieces made with texture instead of flat stitches, in colors that contrast instead of blend into the wall, placed in spots where guests naturally look first: the entryway, the coffee table, the window, the couch. Those 4 spots do more work than anywhere else in your home. Pick colors that feel warm and rich instead of safe and neutral. Let your work look a little imperfect, a little lived in instead of stiff and staged. That imperfection is exactly what makes it feel handmade instead of store-bought, and that's exactly what gets noticed. If you want the full list of patterns for every single piece I just talked about, hit subscribe because that video is coming next.